I'm writing this from a potential new writing spot, a laundromat across from my house, with checkered blue floors and light that streams in just right. The ambient sounds of too loud where I carry and turning laundry are wonderfully calming. A laundromat is easy to romanticize. This is light work. The poetry and storytelling are almost too obvious. It stands so distinctly and obviously as a hallmark of a new era, a new regular setting in this new season. I came here to clean my bed sheets, but that was really just a side project. I really came here to unlock a new space and scope out the mise-en-scène. I came here to plot where I'll lean against the machine watching the laundry spin with tears streaming shamelessly from my eyes, or on another, kinder day, where I will sit with a small smile on my face, the only giveaway that I've experienced victory at last. It feels just right. I moved here without a hiccup. Well, there were many hiccups, but what I mean is I moved here without a meltdown. I haven't had one in a while. I think I've become much more resilient while I was busy minding the comings and goings of life. Is this what it feels like to be an adult? Surely not. My parents helped me move up, and I'm not sure if getting help from your parents still constitutes you as an adult. Is that an individualist, capitalist myth that we should be these fully independent, autonomous beings? I think maybe I should feel horribly guilty that I don't just love my parents in the way that you must, but genuinely like them and know that they would drop most things to help me. Though I don't feel guilty, I just don't. All I can feel is grateful. This new timeline is calibrating to me as much as I am calibrating to it. I have run into many people who have told me that we should hang out when I get more settled. Yes, of course, I reply. The truth feels so apparent to me that no new plot lines are ready to start moving, no new characters ready to get introduced before things calibrate. I avoided sleeping in my new apartment for the first 2 nights. We were like cats being introduced to each other, slowly getting acclimated before we were ready to live together. I was worried that the space didn't feel like my own, but then I bought a dollar store candle with an image of angels and baby Jesus stickered on the side. Once I lit it, I knew instantly that everything would be all right. The space was mine, and it was now blessed. I'm mapping out this new space. I'm painting you a picture, so let me take you on a tour of this apartment, this new container. Did that rhyme? It is 100 years old, more or less. There is a stained glass window in it that is completely unremarkable, except for the fact that it is 100 years old, and that means that it is considered heritage. This means that when the apartment gets torn down in September, they somehow have to maintain the window. The landlord said this while explaining this to me. Surely there are other prettier stained glass windows to preserve. I agreed, though unremarkable beauty is my favorite kind. I was reading Wabi-sabi for Artists, Designers, Poets, and Philosophers by Leonard Cohen while apartment hunting. I was telling my friends over FaceTime that I feel like I accidentally manifested an apartment that is the absolute embodiment of Wabi-sabi. Metaphysical basis. Things are either devolving towards or evolving from nothingness. Spiritual values. Truth comes from the observation of nature. Greatness exists in the inconspicuous and overlooked details. Beauty can be coaxed out of ugliness. State of mind. Acceptance of the inevitable. Appreciation of the cosmic order. Moral precepts. Get rid of all that is unnecessary. Focus on the intrinsic and ignore material hierarchy. Material qualities. The suggestion of natural processes. Irregular, intimate, unpretentious, earthy, murky, simple. Things are either devolving towards or evolving from nothingness. This apartment's beauty is everywhere, but only to the trained eye. Here, in the peeling walls and dirt that simply could not be lifted from the corners of its wooden floors, I understand something about the passage of time. Its absolute spaciousness in relation to its surprisingly low rent is like a small gift it offers. Yes, there's a whole mold colony wedged in between my peeling caulking, but you can have a studio, a bedroom, and a living area, I imagine it saying to me. Who else can offer you that? It continues. I can see that it is right. Right now, no other apartment can offer me this. Wabi-sabi suggests that beauty is a dynamic event that occurs between you and something else. Beauty, as I understand it, seems to be an action rather than a passive object static in time. It requires a relationship between the self and the other. It is an altered state of consciousness. It is a choice in that choosing to witness beauty activates its existence in the other. It occurs to me that this apartment needs me as much as I need it. In this new timeline, we are activating each other. I'm going to get rent evicted in September. That's a dramatic way of saying that I signed the lease for just 6 months. These days, my eras can only really last this long, so I accept it, although I wish I could stay in a space for longer. After I move out, the entire apartment is getting completely gutted. The magic is not lost on me that I will be the last person that will grace the walls of this figurative space. 100 years worth of lives lived, and I will be the last person to send it off before it goes to apartment heaven, or wherever spatial energies go when they are no more. I will be the last person that will be contained inside its beauty, the last person that will dance in its decay before it meets its end. I will send it off back into the nothingness. God, this poetry just writes itself. I spend the last hours of the day deep cleaning the apartment and setting it all up so the previous owner's mark releases its grip. Ugh, I'm so exhausted, I might say to an acquaintance that I run into. But the secret is that I love this shit. Scrubbing on my hands and knees, the dark recesses behind the bathtub, a place I'm sure the previous tenant hasn't touched in over a decade, is how I'm trying to build some intimacy with this space. We are in this together, you and me, I'm trying to say. It occurred to me last night while cleaning up how holy it was that I got to turn the peanut butter upside down because it was organic, and that I got to play a podcast at top volume while doing the dishes in the middle of the night. I simply could not believe how many women and ancestors had come before me that allowed me to get to this point, that allowed me to be alone in this apartment, having complete sovereignty over a space that was my own. Maybe it was the joint I smoked just an hour before, but in that moment, God felt like it was breathing. I couldn't believe that just living felt like more than enough. I'm signing off. Wish me luck.